Good morning. So it is day 26 out on the Pacific Crest Trail. Max and I have been hiking for about 4 miles already this morning. We left our Airbnb that we rented in Big Bear Lake. So it was nice to have a couple of days off. So we're excited to get back on trail and start making our way to Wrightwood, which is our next big town that we're going to, and do our resupply, maybe take another day off there. So I'm going to try and give you an overview of kind of what our plan is as of right now, and then maybe give you some updates each day along the way as far as how things are going until we make it to the next town. So I'll give you a summary. I kind of showing the far out map and elevation gain, and kind of explain where we're going to be stopping each night and how long it should take us to get to town. From Big Bear to Wrightwood, it's about 100 miles, but Max and I are going to try and get there in 5 days, so that's going to be pushing it. We're going to have to do some bigger miles, and we're going to have to skip some miles at the end and get a hitch into Wrightwood about a day early, because we're trying to get to the post office, because we have 2 packages there that are about to be past the 30 days that they'll hold them for us. So I really don't want those to be returned. Yeah, we got a little bit uphill today, and then I think the following days it should be mostly downhill, so it should be a little bit easier to push bigger miles and get there faster, because I think we just took way too long getting from Idlewild to Big Bear, so we just need to start doing more miles and getting to town sooner, because then that means we have to carry less food and resupply is a little bit easier. So yeah, Max and I are going to keep on hiking, and we'll see you here soon.
So I wanted to talk through my plan for how I'm planning to get from Big Bear Lake all the way over to Wrightwood. So we're going to start off at Big Bear Junction, which is at mile 266, and get to Wrightwood, which is at mile 369. So in total, that's about 103 miles that we have to hike. So as you can see, the first day is going to start off a little bit uphill, and we're going to go about 13 miles. But then, as you can see, the trail mostly starts going downhill. So the second day, we're going to try and do 15 miles. And then the third day, we're going to do a big 20-mile day, which again is mostly downhill, so it should be a little easier. And then the fourth day, we're going to do 13 miles, which the terrain will be kind of flatter, so not really much uphill or downhill. And then the final day, we're going to try and make it to the Interstate 15 pass, which will be a 14-mile day, where there's going to be a McDonald's and an inn that we're going to stay at. And the following day, we'll try and get a hitch into Wrightwood, which is our final destination. So we're going to be skipping that last big uphill section, but we're doing that so that we can get into town early and get to the post office and make sure we get our packages on time.
So this is how I typically plan out my days for an upcoming section. I'll create a route in the Far Out app and then look at the elevation guide. So it gives me this idea of like how much elevation I might be gaining for a certain day, and then I can plan out how many miles I want to do given that elevation, and I'll kind of look at the different waypoints like water sources or campsites along the way to get an idea of how far I want to go for that day. And then once I've kind of looked at each day, then I might adjust some of the days that might be too long or too short to kind of find the right balance given the different variables you have to consider, and how much food I'm going to be able to carry, how much water I can carry. So I'll just kind of look at all that and kind of plan out my days for the given section.
And then I may adjust it as needed along the way if things are going as planned. I might do more or less miles than I had originally planned. But hope that information was useful, and I may do a longer video in the future just walking through in more detail how I go about planning my routes on far out.
Good morning. It is day 27 out on the Pacific Crest Trail. Max and I have been hiking for about 6 miles already this morning, and we're planning to do about 15.5 miles in total today. So it'll be a bigger mile day, but I think it's mostly downhill, so it shouldn't be too bad. And the weather's pretty nice right now, so it's comfortable weather to hike in. So that's nice. Yeah, we made it to our planned campsite last night after doing, I think about 13 miles with a little bit of uphill, and a little bit later of a start getting out of town. So wasn't too bad, but we're gonna start increasing our mileage each day because we're trying to make it to Wrightwood in about 5 days, so I can get my resupply package from the post office before it potentially gets returned. But yeah, so far we've been just kind of hiking through the woods now, but it's finally starting to open up a little bit, so there's a little bit better views out. I've been walking through these thorny bushes all day so far. It's kind of annoying. I'm sure Max doesn't enjoy it either. Yeah, coming out of town's always a struggle because you eat all the good food while you're in town, maybe a little too much food, and you get back out here and your body's like going through withdrawals almost, because now you switch back to eating your trail food, which is different. So that's always a struggle for me, getting back on the trail after being in town for a few days. But it's hard not to eat good food while you're in town and it's available. Max and I are gonna keep on hiking, and we'll see you here soon. Good morning. It is day 28 out on the Pacific Crest Trail. So I've shown you a lot of the good parts of the trail. So this is kind of one of the bad parts of hiking on the trail. I've spent the past 3 hours and 7 miles walking in the cold, wet rain. And of course I sent all my rain gear forward to a future town because it was supposed to be sunny and nice for the next week. So all my clothes are soaked. I can barely feel my hands. It's not been a fun morning. I just stopped a little bit ago. I took off all my wet clothes. I put on the one dry shirt I had, my dry down jacket. So I had to just throw everything back in my bag and keep hiking just to get warm because I cannot feel my hands. Oh, my feet are freezing and soaked. It wasn't so much the rain that got me drenched because it was only kind of misting. It's all the bushes and shrubbery that you have to pass through, and a lot of the trail is overgrown, so you're just walking through it all. And then all the water that's on those plants just completely drenches you and makes you freezing cold. So yeah, it's not been fun, but I think the rain has finally stopped. The clouds are starting to thin up a little bit. I can see some blue sky, so hopefully it's not long before the sun's out and I can warm up and dry out my stuff. We are hiking towards some hot springs, so but I think that's still 5 or 6 miles off. But I may have to get in there to try to warm up after this morning. And we've mainly been going downhill, so it's been hard to like get my heart rate up and warm up. But Max is soaked too, but he's got more insulation, so I don't think he even cares or minds. But I think we're gonna keep on hiking, trying to warm up, and we'll see you here soon. So just like that, the clouds went away, the sun came out, now everything's dry again. So Max and I took a short break a while ago to lay out all of our stuff and kind of get dried out, so that was nice. So day's looking much better, sun's out, there's a nice breeze. So this is the day I was expecting when I woke up this morning, not getting rained on for 3 hours and freezing cold. So we're gonna stop and take lunch here pretty soon once we get down to the creek. So looking forward to that, but we're gonna keep hiking and I'll see you soon. Good morning. It is day 29 out on the Pacific Crest Trail. Max and I left our campsite about 3 miles ago. So Max and I did our first 20-mile day yesterday. So that was fun, but also tiring. Just kind of ate some extra food, powered through it. Gave Max some extra food, and he did pretty good. His feet are pretty tough by now, so I knew he could do it. Yeah, he was pretty tired when we got to camp. But kind of had to push that 20 miles because we're in a hurry to get to Wrightwood a day early to pick up our packages from the post office to make sure they don't get returned for being there too long. So today our plan is to do about 14 miles to get to a established campground. There's like a group area that PCT hikers can camp in, and they may have some running water and other things there, I'm not sure. So we'll do 14 miles today, and then we'll do 13 miles tomorrow to get to a point where the PCT crosses, I think, Interstate 15 maybe. But there's a McDonald's and a hotel there. So I think our plan is to stay the night at the hotel, and in the morning get a ride into Wrightwood, which will be a Friday morning. And we'll be able to pick up our packages. And then depending on the weather for the next section, we may just head back to the trail later that day or spend some more time in Wrightwood. So we're not sure yet. And then I'll also be like a day ahead of my trail family that I'm hiking with, so I need to see what their plans are and if I can stick with them. Decent views coming up through here. So it's been a pretty nice hike so far this morning, but Max and I are gonna keep on hiking, and we'll see you here soon.
have a proposal for McDonald's to support the PCTA.
Hey everyone, so it's day 31 of my journey hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. So it's officially been 1 month out hiking, so it's kind of cool to have made it this far, but it's Friday right now. We made it to Wrightwood this morning, so yesterday we made it to Interstate 15 and the McDonald's that's right on trail, so we kind of hung out at the McDonald's most of the afternoon, ate a couple meals there, just relaxed in the air conditioning, met up with some other hikers that I'm hiking with, and then we got a room at the Quality Inn that's right nearby. Stayed there overnight, did some laundry, just kind of rested up a little bit, and then I reached out to the Wrightwood Trail Angel group, asking about getting a ride into Wrightwood and a potential room, and this awesome lady reached out and said she could give me a ride and also had a spare room, so she picked us up this morning. Also picked up a couple hikers in my group that went a little bit further along, so drove us all into town, took us by the post office, was able to grab my packages, which were thankfully still there after being there like 30 days. So I got my packages, and then she brought us back to her place, where I just kind of went through all my packages, kind of got my resupply organized, and then I let the other couple hikers I'm with take a shower here while they waited for their Airbnb to be ready for them to check in. Then we went and walked into town, to a coffee shop, ate breakfast, and then just came back here, finished going through my resupply, and then my host here let me use their car to drive back to the post office to mail out my package for some stuff that I was going to bounce forward to Acton, California. And then I've just kind of been hanging out here, resting up a little bit, figuring out my plans for the next section, and then went and ate dinner at a local brewery in town. And then tomorrow I'll probably go meet up with the group I'm hiking with and figure out what their plans are and what my plans are. But right now I think I'm going to head back out on trail tomorrow evening and do like a few miles later in the day to then do a big summit push the following day. Do that while it's still early and still cool out. I've been really bad about recording stuff off trail, so don't have a whole lot of footage from everything that's been going on, but glad to be here in town. It was a rough couple of days for a while. We had the big 20-mile day where it started out freezing cold, and then the sun came out, and then got pretty warm out. So, and then the following 2 days were like pretty warm out, and we had some longer miles. So those were challenging. I think it's also supposed to be warm out for like the next week. So I think we're gonna do some shorter days. Try and start as early as we can to try and beat the heat of the day. Because Max really struggles when it starts to get warm out. I think I'm going to wrap up this latest video from my journey to Big Bear over to Wrightwood. But I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in my future videos.